Transformers reviews, tech and the news, whatever else I use as a muse. Hit subscribe, I appreciate the views. Influences interest on YouTube.
Welcome people, thank you for joining me today. This is Inflewence, and today I'm going to mount this print that I got from Bobby Skullface. Link in the description. I'm not sure. I think he sold out of everything at tfcon. You're a Transformers fan. But if you're just an art fan, this is a print I got from an artist who, among other things, and I really like the print. I like it. I wanted to do more than just frame it, even though I think a frame may look a little classier, but I wanted to do something creative around it. So I have a canvas here, and I'm gonna mount it onto the canvas using Mod Podge. I believe you use any glue, but I know that works well with like prints and posters and stuff like that. Like, it doesn't distort it. Some glues and some things sometimes react funny to different papers. So and I'm not an expert in this stuff at all, but I just know what my experience has taught me. So I'm using Mod Podge. No sponsor, nothing. Just what I'm doing. Here we go. And I used it in the past. If you've seen another video of mine where I mounted a Transformers the movie poster, it wasn't too great. It was already wrinkly though. This print is straight flat, but I'm gonna incorporate some other things into it that I didn't in that other video. So first I want to, or I already centered it. So I want to get it centered just because, no reason. Oh no, I didn't already center it. Sorry, I'm overdubbing, so if you can't tell. But I'm centering it now just because I want to leave a little in the middle just for, I don't know, it's probably my own little thing. It probably doesn't matter since it's canvas if it's painted over, the glue will still stick on the paint. But sometimes I'm a little iffy with paint and glue, so I like to leave a little clear canvas spot for the glue to, you know, soak in and be more in the middle, so right underneath it, because I don't want it to peel off later. So it could, like I said, it could be my own little thing, but I center the picture first just so I know where to leave that little space, and you'll see. And I'm just eyeing it. You can actually measure if you want. I think eyeing is perfect because you're going to be looking at it every day. Maybe somebody else will look at it and say it's not straight, but I don't know. I don't like to claim I have OCD because I know people that really have OCD and it's not pretty. So, but I am a stickler like for like symmetrical, I guess, symmetry. So I eyed it, and I'm going to just pour the paint on there. Like when I paint, if I'm painting a canvas like this, because you know I paint as well. I haven't did a lot of painting videos, but I just if I'm painting an abstract, which I do like painting abstracts every now and then, I need to get back into painting more. Like, this is the process. Like, I'll just pour it on and then figure out what I'm doing. But right now I'm just doing a whole black border. And I got the red spray paint because I am going to, and I'm just drawing the little outline of the photo from my memory that I'm not really sure. You know, you'll see, because I just did that so I know where it is and I know what to get first. I like to try to saturate the borders first, just so I know I have enough paint. And actually I had too much paint. But yeah, I was saying I like to pour it on, and with an abstract you just pour it on and then just paint however it goes. But here I'm just making a black border, and since the picture has a lot of red, I want some red accents around the border. So you just paint this. I probably could fast forward this, but I'm not, so I'm just going to show you how I'm painting the border. And again, if you got too much paint, and you'll see in a minute that I just get a paper towel and get the paint off. Now I really stress to have good protection for your floors or wherever you're painting, because you might think paint is weird. You might think you're not going to get it everywhere, or it's not going anywhere, but before you know it, it's all over the place, and you don't even know that it's all over the place. Like I had it on my foot. I had it, and you can see I'm in my pajamas. So in my PJs, it's getting cold, so I had to put on something comfortable that was warm. But yeah, I had paint on my foot, and before I knew it, and I don't know how, I think it just was flicking because I was like standing up. So yeah, I try to get the edges too of the, and I will have to go back and do them later. I kind of like to wait for it all to dry and everything cure before I go back to paint the edges over. I try to get as much as I can, but of course you miss it because it's laying on the floor. So later on, like I'll go back and paint the edges because then I can handle it a little bit better. So you can see here, it's a whole lot of paint on the side, more so on the right side, my left, but the viewer's right. It's a lot of paint, so I gotta do something about that paint. Yeah, just get a napkin and just kind of just soak it up and wipe off the excess paint. Depending on what kind of paints you're working with, painting is pretty, you know, it's pretty forgiving. You'll have textures in there, but I like the textures. It gives it character, so I don't mind. I'm not trying to get it super smooth. But I just want it smoothed out and all the way around everything. So yeah, this is actually, what kind of paint am I using? I think I'm using acrylic. So acrylics dry pretty quickly. They're pretty forgiving. Well, in that aspect, they're not, because they will dry on you, but you can paint in a level out pretty well. Now, I'm not a paint expert, but just from my experiences. So if you don't want this texture, you could probably get a bigger brush, or get like maybe a roll and roll it on. It's just different techniques that you can use. Like I said, I don't mind this texture. I kind of like the texture. I like the fact that it looks like it was actually painted and not processed, like a stamp or something. So now I'm gonna have, before it dries, I'm gonna add some highlights to it, just around. No kind of uniformity, just kind of like, almost like graffiti. Like I just want to have like red accents. Want it to be mostly black, but with some red accents to accent the picture. Like the picture's red. So now I'm just gonna let it dry, and we're over on my review table. So you see it's all dry. I probably let it dry for like 4 hours. You can let it dry 4 hours or overnight. It just depends. But now I'm gonna Mod Podge the whole thing, because it kind of gives it a glossy look, and I kind of like that, and it also protects the paint, so you can just paint over it with the Mod Podge. I'm just using the same brush. I probably should have had a bigger brush, because then it would have been a faster job. So now just start painting it on, and you want a thin layer, but you can thin it out later. And I'm just going to fast forward it because it's a pretty long process, especially with this small brush. So you see, I'm just painting it on whichever way, but then I will go over and kind of have the brush strokes the same way that I want it. Like at the bottom, I did side to side, and on the sides up top. So then you just let it dry, and here it is dried. And now I'm putting more on in the middle because I'm going to now and I put a little bit more highlights because I wanted a little bit more red, so I put a little more highlights. But I put some more of the Mod Podge in the middle where the picture is actually going to be at. I'm now going to put some on the back. I put it on the edges and in the middle on the back. I didn't do the whole picture because I didn't want it to be saturated. Sometimes pictures get saturated with the Mod Podge and it can wrinkle up or look funny, especially depending on the paper. Now this was good stock paper. Like the print was really on photo paper. It was like a photo print. So it wasn't a cheap, like that poster was kind of cheap that I got. It was crazy is I think Bobby charged $10 for the print. I'm not even sure, but I mean, I'm sure, I know he probably got a discount on getting so many, but still, like, and you're paying, you'll pay more than that for a poster that is on stock that's like half as decent. So I really like when, you know, people really, I think it's really worth the $10, like what I'm saying. But here you go, I put it on there and it's wet. The other reason I put glue is because you can slide it around while it's wet. So you can get it exactly where you need it to be, right in the middle where you want it to be in the middle. And I actually checked several times. Like you want to get back, you want to, if you can, if it's good enough, you can lift it up. But then I got parchment paper. Shout out to the person that left a comment on my last video. They said to put parchment paper in the iron it, and it will like activate the glue that's already dried, and it also flattens it out and the parchment paper won't stick. And they were like specifically not wax paper but parchment paper. I know a lot of people don't know the difference, but I think parchment paper is less sticky. Like it won't burn, it won't do none of that. I think wax paper will eventually, depending on how hot, but you don't want the iron super hot either because you don't want to burn the photo. But that technique, you'll see in a minute, it worked really well. So here I am I'm still getting it centered, just making sure. I did push it down a little bit more, and when I pushed it down it did move a little, so I try to get it more centered again. And right now I'm just like really measuring and double checking and making sure that the photo is centered. So right here, I'm not sure what I'm doing. I'm fondling the photo. No, I think I was just making sure all the corners were right and down. So now I got the iron and it's hot. It's not super hot. I got it on like maybe 4 setting with no steam. You don't want no steam because then that's water. So, and now I'm ironing, and the parchment paper does not stick at all. But the glue, I do check a couple times. The glue does start to melt, and it has to be fairly hot. But again, you got to use your common sense, and you don't want it super hot because it may burn the picture depending on what stock. I think the picture would have been fine if I had it a little hotter, but I just didn't want to take no chances. It's kind of like a t-shirt transfer, how the transfer is glued and then you heat it up and it kind of like melts into the shirt. And that's basically what I'm doing here. So now I'm gonna just put a thin coat around the edges of the photo. Again, I'm not the best at this. I'm not the most experienced. Well, I don't know if this did anything, but I just wanted an extra coat just so it didn't lift up. I don't think it will lift up. my experience. The other one that I did is still, it's not perfect just because of my technique, but it had nothing to do with the materials and what was going on. Like it still looks like the first day that I did it. I'm just kind of not experimenting, but I am experimenting because like I said, I don't know if this does anything, but it's part of the process that I used and I like how it came out. Hey, I'm just letting you know. So yeah, I'm just painting, just putting the glue around the edges. Just make like a thin coat. I just want a thin layer. Hopefully it acts like a seal. And here, I think it's sped up like 16 times. I just wanted to show that it does dry clear. This is about an hour, I believe. Not sure, to tell you the truth. I can figure it out because it's 16 times. But then here we are, just checking, making sure everything is good. And then you get to see the final product. And I love how it came out. I just wanted to be creative around this picture. You know, it's a piece that I'm glad I had. Like I like that it's an artistic piece that somebody drew. I appreciate the artist. All right, so thanks for watching, and I will get up.
Ain't no, life ain't over, life ain't over, life ain't over. As long as you alive, you can give another try and take it real high if you want.